When playing Ahri, what do you typically like to ban? Someone has asked. And I think you can actually just check my OPGG to get your answer to that question. But typically speaking, this is going to depend on what kind of meta we're in. At the moment, I am, for the most part, banning Yasuo. Because breaking Yasuo in lane is incredibly difficult. Especially if he's good. There's not a whole lot Ahri can do because he can just play obnoxiously aggressive, like dash through 800 minions, get on top of you, win wall your charm, and then out DPS you in fights as well. He will be a little bit more useless than you in general team fights, unless he has great setup, right? But for the most part, I ban Yasuo. I struggle the most against Yasuo and Lux. Yeah, now there's one secret champion that I'm sure you might have heard me bring up. That is, like, this is the spawn of the devil, I'm pretty sure. And that's Irelia. So I don't ban Irelia because she's not very popular. But I'm pretty sure if you go to my OPGG and you look down the list here, I have decayed because I haven't played. That's a shame. You're not going to see a single game where I'm playing against Irelia. And that's because I just don't want to play against that champion. So I dodge her for the most part. Like if I know Irelia is mid lane, I'll just dodge. I don't see the point in playing against it. Mostly because it requires your jungler to help you to not get blasted in lane. And why would you put the onus on your jungler to make sure you can play the game? Right? Like I don't like doing that. So at the moment it's Yasuo and Irelia that I heavily avoid. Ban Yasuo, dodge Irelia. No matter the champion I play for the most part, to be honest. If you want to and you have last pick, you can try to bait a Yasuo and then maybe play something like a Malphite or something. Actually, I think I'll have a few games against Irelia, but that's because I have counter pick. And then I play stuff like Malphite or Cho'Gath. But for the most part, I'll be dodging them. Orianna and Malzahar's my pool. I might play Orianna. Orianna used to be my main. That was the champion that I was the best at. For about 5 years, I think. I played her quite a bit in pro play as well. And I do still enjoy playing her. She just has, if I'm not mistaken, like, depending on your elo range, she has a terrible win rate. Like in solo queue, I think she has a 46% or something. She's very low right now. If I'm not, let's sort by mid lane. So I probably wouldn't recommend. Actually, she's a bit higher than I thought. Maybe she's gone up this patch. Maybe I was looking at lower MMR or all ranks. Is she low there? Yeah, she's very low at all ranks, but I guess Emerald plus she's pretty good. Orianna gets better the higher up you go on the ladder. Because she's kind of setup reliant with her team and people can play around it. And you also kind of just learn how to move better on Orianna, right? Like she can do a lot of stuff, especially if you know how to play her well. But at the lower end of the ladder, that can be a bit rough. Malzahar, you'll probably get some more off as well. Swain, I don't think I'll be doing anything on. Unless I drastically change the direction of what I'm doing and just switch to whatever is... Like more of a skill capped style that I do for skill cap, where I just do champions that are strong at the moment. But it seems that people really like the Ahri stuff, so I'll probably be doing a lot of that. But I'll try to mix in like a few champions every now and then. To answer this question specifically, I like to ban depending on what the meta is. So when I got Challenger in season, it must have been 12, I think. On NA, I banned Sylas for the most part. Even though Ahri Sylas is actually a fine laning matchup, I just found that I couldn't win against Sylas. Like, I could be okay in lane, and then Sylas would just take my ult and do more than me. And I was like, okay, well, I know that I'm doing okay in lane, but he's just being more valuable than me in the game, so I'll just ban him. And he was a popular champion as well, right? He was played a lot. So I think the answer is pick a champion that you're struggling with and that's popular in the meta, and then just ban that on repeat. And then if there's an uncommon champion you're struggling a lot with, don't ban it, just dodge it. And then you'll see a lot of success. What to do as Ahri against Smolder mid or an AD carry mid? Okay. This is a bit tough because it depends on the AD carry. If you're against Tristana, things can be quite rough. Smolder, okay. Depends on the AD carry. Let's go back to the list of champions, shall we? Smolder is quite easy to deal with in the sense that you can push him in and just look for roams. He can't trade with you very easily, and you'll have a lot of opportunities to land charms on him. I wonder if I have any games against Smolder. Oh, do I not have Outplayed on this PC? Oh, I don't. I don't know if I have any games against Smolder. For Ahri specifically. But you can push him under tower quite easily. And then just look for roams. It's like how you'd navigate any scaling matchup. So the same for Veigar or Malzahar or anything like that. You just push them under tower and then roam. Like they will play 10 CS per minute and they will get their stacks, but I mean hopefully you'll be able to make something happen on the map and kind of snowball the game. That should be the objective, right? Yeah, a good Irelia is the devil, yeah. I mean, there's just nothing you can do against that champion. Especially with Ahri, because she can build Merc Treads and Vamp Scepter. And then you'll take one trade against her, and she'll just heal it up to full. So it's like, oh, okay. I have my spells on cooldown, and you're queuing the wave and healing to full health. How do you play the game? The mid-game on vulnerable champions like Kog'Maw, who's squishy and mobile. I feel much safer sidelaning with Ahri and Malzahar than with Kog'Maw. I mean, yeah, that's one of the weaknesses of Kog'Maw, right? That side laning is very rough. On those weak immobile champions, Kog'Maw, Xerath, Vel'Koz, those sorts of champions, side laning is much rougher. And the only way to really do it is you're not going to apply pressure. You're going to catch waves for the most part. So, what do I mean by that? Let's see if we can bring up Rift Kit. So, we will be doing a little bit of drawing here. Maybe get Epic Pen going as well. Because I feel more comfortable drawing with that than these guys' tool. Because I've used that a lot more. Where's my Epic Pen? There it is. Okay, sweet. Okay. If you are playing something like a Kog'Maw and you are, shall we say, let's get these fellas out of the way. Actually, we don't have to. But your bot lane and your support are mid lane, your jungle is wherever, and your top laner is top, and you're side laning, and enemy bot is here as well. For the most part, what's going to happen is if enemy mid is playing a champion that, say an Ahri, a Zed, or LeBlanc, something like that, they're going to push you in. You're going to have to sit back here and collect waves, and you can't really apply pressure. And they can move into your jungle and trap as well, so it's very difficult for you to rotate to mid lane to make a play happen. It's also very difficult for you to walk up here, because you don't know if they're here, right? So what will generally speaking happen is you're gonna sit under tower, catch waves, wait until you see the enemy mid laner, then push out, and then it's your turn to try to trap them. When you're playing Kog'Maw, even if you're against a LeBlanc or something like that, if you can land a lot of upfront damage on them, so let's say she comes bot lane to catch a wave here, you get to chunk her out by trapping this bush, then you can back off, and if she's half health on LeBlanc, usually you'll be able to take pressure. But what's going to happen in a lot of those situations is you have to chunk out the enemy mid laner until you can do anything. Until you can start applying pressure. But I mean, that's one of the weaknesses of those styles of champions, right? They're way, way, way stronger in team fights, but they kind of suck at applying pressure on the side lane. So usually you get demoted to catching waves and trying to look for chunks on the enemy laner to then apply pressure. That's usually how that goes. Okay, back to the ADCs mid lane. If you're against the Tristana, it gets a bit more rough. Ahri notoriously has pretty low DPS, so it's quite difficult for you to beat her in an all-in. You have to, for the most part, just sit back, try to push the waves in, and if they try to contest you, you go for trades and back off, and play very, very patiently. It's again one of those situations where you lose all-ins, so you need to slowly chunk out the enemy laner to a point where they can't all-in you anymore. You will, for the most part, have range advantage against the champions that can beat you in an all-in. in which case you have to kind of leverage that range advantage into either getting push, because the enemy laner is playing respectfully, and if the enemy laner is playing aggressively, I wonder if I can... I should probably have my League client open so I can show some of this stuff, but regardless, maybe that's something I'll do next time. Actually, maybe it would just be so much better if I did League of Legends. Let me try to not leak stuff. Actually, I have everything on my Discord. Give me one moment. Which account should we use? Does one of them have a skin is the question. I think this one does. But the idea is, for the most part, champions that can all-in you do not have a range advantage, so you have to kind of poke them out if they try to stop you from pushing the wave, and then just be very respectful and be like, okay, I need to take a health advantage to make them not able to all-in me. And if they play respectfully to try to avoid getting poked because you have a range advantage, then you can just push waves and look for roams. I'll actually just not do it right now, but that's the idea. There's probably an easier way to show it if I had clips or something. That would be relevant. What are your thoughts on maxing E second on Ahri to prolong its duration? Ahri has had this history of constantly switching between W max second and E max second. I think at the moment it's W, if I'm not mistaken. She's had some changes happen to her recently that made it W. It used to be W with a Rod of Ages. Like, so, I mean, it's constantly changing, right? Depending on what happens with her builds and with patches. But I think at the moment it's W max, because this was just nerfed. So, at the moment you're doing W max. W max will give you better DPS. And E max has been nerfed. E max second has been nerfed. So it's just less value. But I mean, it's so funny, because here W, like, you were doing W max second, right? Then they nerfed W. Then you were doing E max second. Then they nerfed E max. So now you're doing W max again. And before, like, it just constantly changes on what the build, depending on what the build is, and depending on what they've recently nerfed, to be honest. W max is better for damage output, and E max is better for CCing and creating picks with your team. So if you don't need damage output or you don't need DPS, you can still do E max second. Just be aware that you're only adding 0.6 seconds instead of 0.8 that you were adding before. So I prefer doing W max for the most part. But I think there can be arguments to be had that if you're playing a Malignance with Horizon Focus and you have like a Viego or something and you have a lot of damage on your team, you can just play E max, because then you don't need the extra damage from W. So I think if you're more of a supportive, engaging role in the game, then you can go E max second. If you can just blow up a target if you land CC on them, you can go E max second. Like, if your team can do that. And if you need to deal damage, then do W max second. But E max second has been tried and tested. Don't know if you've already answered, but how do you know whether to get Malignance or Blackfire? So this is probably one of the most asked questions I've had. And the answer is, it depends on what the enemy team composition looks like. So, it depends on what your role is in the game. So, the long and short of it is... let me get my notepad up. Okay, thank the heavens we're not leaking any coaching VODs or any coaching notes. The long and short of it is, if fights are going slow fights, or tanky enemy team, you build Blackfire Torch. Anything else, you go Malignance. Malignance is just so incredibly nice because it's of the ability haste, first of all, and then the haste to your ult. You really need your ult when you're playing Ahri, otherwise you're just useless. So, to showcase this a little bit more, let us go to a League of Legends drafting. Let us go to a potential team composition where you would want to play either or, right? So let's say you're playing Ahri. I wish they had drag and drop on this site, to be honest. And let us say you are playing against a Sylas, for the sake of it, let's just put a Nasus in the top lane, and a Skarner in the jungle, and then a Leona support, and I don't know, like a Kalista here or something. This team composition is incredibly tanky, and fights are in all likelihood going to be quite slow. So if your role is going to be to DPS and play front to back, then you want to be playing Blackfire Torch. And if your role is going to be, well, one-shot the enemy backline and play with your teammates, well, then you're going to be playing Malignance and a one-shot build. But it's very unlikely that you can one-shot any targets on this enemy team on your own. Now, there are conditions that change this. Viego is a very specific one. Or if you have a Jinx AD carry. These champions, and I mean, this is probably, I think for most people, this is too many variables to juggle. So I would say against the tanky team composition, go Blackfire Torch, because fights are probably going to go long and you'll need to DPS. And against a Squisher or against anything else, just go Malignance. And then you're sorted. But I want to add the note that with champions that win the game off of one kill, so for the most part reset champions, you still want to play a one-shot style of Ahri. Despite the fact that there are no real targets here, the easiest way to win a fight with either of these two champions is just to get one kill, right? So that's what you'll be playing for the most part. But yeah, that's the general rule. And then if you're buying Blackfire Torch, you'll run something like a Cosmic Drive second, I think, and then a Liandry's, if I'm not mistaken. I actually don't know. Let's see. Are people doing Liandry's second, or are they doing Cosmic Drive second? Let's have a look. Maybe I can go to DPM as well and have a look, but I just want to see here what the people are doing. Because this is, for the most part, tracking one-tricks. But one-tricks we also love just getting caught up in it. Yeah, Blackfire Torch, Cosmic. Yeah, that sounds the best to me. Blackfire Torch, Liandry's. What you'll also notice is every single time that you are playing Blackfire Torch, you're playing Ahri. And that's because Ahri is just better for DPS than Electrocutus. So this is, for the most part, the only time that I'll go Ahri is if I see a tanky team composition in Champion Select. I'll be like, okay, I'm more than likely going Blackfire Torch, in which case I should pick up Ahri and Legend Haste and Cut Down as well. So that's when you would pick that, right? This is a bit of a tough one to answer. What is the best way to play against an Annie mid? What is the best way to play against an Annie mid? Annie mid is a tough matchup for Ahri. She does a lot of things that Ahri hates. The only thing you can do is try to push her in. You outrange her with your Q, and you can try to chunk her out, and then look for all-ins or look for push. The problem is every single time she has her Tibbers up, you're just gonna get chunked to like 40% health. Yeah, she could one-shot you. Yeah, she's very, very tricky to play against. I remember playing against Anibot quite a lot on NA servers, but that guy is not very good, so he was just easily killable. I mean, that guy has fallen off heavily. But I think against good Annie players, or at the lower end of the ladder, where Annie is super, super strong. I say at the lower end of the ladder, but she's also played a lot in pro play right now. But like where she's a lot harder to deal with, what would I advise? I wonder if there's any tricks you can do with your build, like going Catalyst or something, but I think that might slow you down a bit too much. Merc Treads quickly might be a problem as well if the enemy jungler's AD. But I think the thing I want to say is try to outrange her with Qs, push waves, and whenever she tibbers, you say, okay, you're going to have lane control now, and there's nothing I can do about that. And then you try to play off of her Tibbers cooldown. So you should, generally speaking, be generating push whenever her Tibbers is on cooldown and try to impact the map or try to take winning trades against her. You want to ideally try to force her. Like, okay, so this is what Annie players love doing, right? They love holding their stun and looking for a trade against you. So if you can push the wave and force them to use their stun on the wave, you'll for the most part be able to take good trades against them, right? So you want to be very aware of their stun and their ult cooldown. Those are the two main things that you really want to look out for when you're playing against Annie. But she's hard. Like, she's just tough to deal with. Hello? Oh my god, I just answered your question. I am so sorry. The long and short of it, if you're wondering, Carolyn. Malignance, for the most part, is better. And then Blackfire Torch against tankier team compositions. So I gave this example. Let's see if we can get our drafting up again. Drafting this one. So, okay, I will quickly just recap it for you so you know. If the enemy team composition, if you see them in Champ Select and they're playing like Alistar, they're playing like a Cho'Gath top lane, they're playing like a Sejuani jungle, maybe a Yone mid lane or something like that, and then whatever AD carry you want to put in here. Enemy team comp, super tanky here, right? In all likelihood, fights are going to be played quite slow, right? Because it takes time to get through the enemy front line. So in all likelihood, it'll be more front to back. So your role is not going to be to like go in, one-shot someone, because you don't have a lot of one-shot targets, right? In that case, your role is more than likely going to be DPSing, in which case you go Malignance. Now, if you see this, not Malignance, sorry, Blackfire Torch. Now, if you see this in Champion Select, and you're like, okay, I'm going to be playing Blackfire Torch this game because the game is going to be quite slow, and we're going to be playing front to back. It's very important that you also run Ahri, because Ahri is so much better for DPSing than Electrocute is. So then you run Ahri with Haste and Cut Down. And that's the only time I, generally speaking, run Ahri. I like Electrocute a bit too much to take Ahri. Even though Domination Tree is quite weak right now. I think Ahri is pretty good. I just don't like it that much. Because I am used to kind of playing more of a one-shot style of Ahri. And then the build you'd go with Blackfire Torch is this. You would go as much CDR as possible with Cosmic Drive. And then you can go Liandry's third here or Bloodletter's Curse. Depends what the enemy team composition is building. If they're building Magic Resist, then you can go Bloodletters. And if they're not, then you can go Liandry's. And you'll play kind of like a DPS champion. Of course, if you have other champions and you see this enemy draft, if you can whip out like shall we say a Syndra or a Talia or something like that, maybe not Syndra, it will be better, right? Because they can DPS better. But if you're first picking Ahri and you end up running into this, then go for Blackfire Torch. There are a lot of edge cases as well, but I think for the most part, all you need to know is against tanky team compositions where you're DPSing, run Blackfire Torch with Ahri, and otherwise run Malignance. Because Malignance is just awesome. Yeah, it feels terrible to not build Malignance once you're used to running Ultimate Hunter and Malignance, and your ult has like a 100-second cooldown at rank 1, and then goes all the way down to like 30 at rank 6 or rank 3. Feels very, very bad. Yeah, we also answered what is the best way to play against Annie mid lane. When do you play Electrocute versus when do you play Ahri with Ahri? Again, I think I've kind of answered this, but I'll go into a little bit more depth and talk about what to go secondary in your runes. So, no worries. Thank you for stopping by and leaving questions. I'm sure if you have a question, other people will also have that question. So, no worries, no worries. I will, for the most part, play Electrocute just because I love having access to Ultimate Hunter, and I think the burst damage you get from Electrocute is awesome for creating picks during the mid game, and it makes your trading pattern very, very easy. Now, if you want to get into the weeds of it, you can play Ahri in matchups where you're playing Q from max range. So these matchups will for the most part be mid-range mages or kind of champions that can outrange you and you can only land Q on them. Annie is a pretty good example. Ryze is a pretty good example. Azir is a good example. Talia, Syndra kind of, but I like having a different style against Syndra. But these sorts of champions that you can't really get in range to auto-attack W, you just want to play Ahri with Q and then just sit and snipe with Qs. That is one way of going about it. Now, I like going Electrocute because I like fist fighting and just pushing and creating picks, and Electrocute is a lot stronger for skirmishes and on the roam than Ahri is, but Ahri is a lot better for consistent damage and poking. Yeah, so secondary runes, like you're saying, Eden, how do you feel about going bone plating in some matchups? I really like going bone plating in matchups that are rough. Mostly because, so the way I think about it is Transcendence is going to give me 10 ability haste, conditionally, by the way. And Mana Flow Band gives you a ton of mana, don't get me wrong. But you usually won't find that getting mana on Ahri is that big of an issue during the mid game. You'll have to manage your mana a little bit better. But if you can squeeze out more of an advantage by not getting blasted in lane than these two runes would give you, well, then I would always go bone plating. So against tough or all-in matchups, or matchups that can poke me very heavily, or matchups where I can bleed under tower if I can't win trades, then I'll take bone plating. So against Syndra, I've really been liking bone plating. Against Orianna, I've been liking bone plating. LeBlanc, not against the melee champions, because the melee champions you'll usually be able to push in regardless. Zed, you can take bone plating into if you really struggle against Zed. I know a lot of people at the lower end of the ladder really struggle against Zed. For the most part, I just like running Scorch against Zed and then just poking him a ton. And then you kind of get a mixture of Scorch for the laning phase combined with Mana Flow Band for scaling. But if you struggle against him, you can run a bone plating. And then I've seen some people also go Inspiration. I don't really know how to feel about Inspiration. Maybe just running Boots and Cookies can be sort of okay to kind of... But generally speaking, Ahri likes going Boots early, so I don't really know. But I've seen some people go Inspiration in pro play, where they go Cookies. Kind of like the same idea as running bone plating, which is it helps you kind of stop the bleeding in lane. So if you're against a matchup where you can get pushed and punished very heavily and poked out, then you take Cookies and then you get to your level 9 point safely, and then you start pushing every single wave. So it's just sort of a bridge to get you to level 9 safely in matchups that might be rougher. So you can just start pushing and roaming. Suck and mana match. So I go Ahri. Yeah. Okay, that's fair. I think Ahri with bone plating is fine. Then you're really going hard on lane, though. You're going very hard on lane. But yeah, I think... it's tough. It's tough. I think maybe you can try not going bone plating and then going Inspiration. Although Cookies, I think they give you health now. Yeah, they don't give you mana anymore. Yeah, maybe not then. Maybe not. I've seen some people run triple tonic as well with like a jack of all trades, I think it is. I've seen some very weird stuff. Very, very weird stuff. For the most part, this would just be my room page though. Like this is easy. There's no need to really think about it. This is what you're running in most instances. But if you find yourself struggling early game, you can run this and it's okay as well. Like it's mostly like preference, to be honest. Which are the cases where Ignite is better than Teleport? Okay. Ignite, the long and short of it is gonna be it's gonna depend on how you like playing Ahri. Ignite is gonna make you a lot stronger at skirmishes during the early stages. It's gonna make you a lot stronger at creating picks during the mid game. And the most important thing, it's gonna make your roaming a lot stronger. So you'll have better likelihood of finding success on your roams if you have Ignite. Just for that extra bit of damage. But Ignite essentially just means your fighting ability is considerably better. So if you have a particularly volatile 2v2 mid jungle that you want to play for, you can run Ignite. I have personally, like, one of the times I went to Challenger, I took Ignite every single game and just played conservatively. For the most part, Ahri can get a base whenever she wants to, so you don't really need teleport. Teleport is just nice because sometimes you can be very greedy in the lane and deny minions and such with teleport. Teleport is also great for mid game. Your side laning ability when you take Ignite, well, your side laning ability actually goes up, but the problem is you can't join your team as easily, so you'll have to overgroup, and that can make you really bleed during the mid game. Whereas teleport, just get out of jail free card if you make a mistake on the map or anything like that, or if you make a mistake in lane, well, then you can just teleport and you'll be okay. Ahri is a lot, or Ignite is a lot riskier. If you die in lane and you have Ignite, the game's just fucked. Like, it's so hard to play now because you'll be bleeding so many minions as well. Like, you're not just dying and giving over gold, you're bleeding minions as well. So you're losing a lot for that. That being said, it's mostly down to preference. Like, if you find that you don't use teleport a lot in the laning phase and you don't need it during the mid game, then just take Ignite. Like, Ignite is fine. You can go if you really like playing it. I just tend to prefer the get out of jail free card of teleport at the moment. But I mean, I've liked Ignite at a lot of points as well. Might go back to playing more Ignite, to be honest. But I think when you're I think honestly Ignite at the low end of the ladder is fine, because using teleport is also complicated, right? Like, getting a lot of value out of teleport is hard. So if you're at the lower end of the ladder, like below Platinum Diamond, you can probably just run Ignite and be okay. I remember recommending a lot of people during coaching, and it worked pretty well. How can you win against Yasuo with Ahri? How indeed. Okay. So I wish I had some visuals for this, to be honest, but because it's so much easier to show it. But the main idea is Yasuo is gonna do his Yasuo thing and dash through waves like 800. Do I ever take exhaust? No, never. You can take exhaust against Zed if you really want to, or against like particular all-in champions, but no, you shouldn't need it. You should not need exhaust. Any champion that can get on top of you, you can cancel with charm. And if you can't cancel them with charm because you just aren't fast enough, or you just aren't good enough at like expecting or looking for animations, then you can take exhaust. But I mean, my obvious recommendation would be, if you can't charm a Talon out of his Q, then don't take exhaust to patch up that weakness. Practice actually charming Talon out of his Q. You know? The same for Galio E. If you can't charm him out of his E, then practice it. If you can't charm Zed out of his ult, then practice it. That's why we have 1v1s here, so you can try to practice it. Because it is very important in those matchups. It is the thing that makes Ahri so unbreakable in mid lane. Is that any champion that can dash, you can stop from getting on top of you. Because of your charm. How to win against Yasuo with Ahri? You need to bait out his win wall without using your charm. And the way you're going to do that is by poking him with WQs and then backing off, and accept that if he never win walls, all you can really be happy with is poking him. You cannot win trades against that guy. You cannot. Yeah, you pray. This champion is so obnoxious to deal with as Ahri. I mean, there's a reason I ban it. There's a reason that's my ban at the moment. Mostly because he's incredibly popular on this server, but he is so goddamn hard to manage. Because he will just dash everywhere, man. Going back to my question, it's perfect timing. Okay, so a cool trick that you can do Yeah, you can't properly clear waves because he instantly goes on you. Yes. You will never have an opportunity to be first on the move unless you have poked him out very heavily. So he kind of just like nullifies your entire style of play and the style that I'm heavily advocating for, right? Like the simple, hey, don't trade with the enemy laner, just push and move. Well, against Yasuo, you can't. Because he's just gonna, like, if you approach the wave, he's flying on top of you. So then you have to start learning, okay, if that happens, well, then I need to try to bait him to go into the wave, step back, W away, perfectly space him, pop his shield, Q him, chunk him. If he win walls, awesome. Then I have like a 20-second window where I can walk up. If he doesn't win wall, well, then I just have to be like, okay, I played everything perfectly, and I took 150 of his health. And now we have to do it all again. And if you ever make a mistake, you fucking die. You know? Like, that's how I feel playing against that champion. Like, I have to do everything so insanely well to get a 150 health advantage and not have priority. I have to do that 5 times until I can actually start pressuring the wave and pressuring the lane. But until then, you just have to sit back and smile at health advantages, which sucks. Looks like he should be my ban forever. Yeah, just ban him, to be honest. Like, if you really struggle against him, ban him. Like, a trick you can do, but, I mean, it's just a trick. Don't actually try to do this because the amount of focus you have to spend to do this is so much more than it's worth it. But you can take Ahri and you can proc his shield right as it comes back. You can do the same thing with Scorch. So you can try to time a trade with him as his shield comes back, and then Ahri and Scorch are going to fly out and take off his shield. So you'll get your damage from your spell, and then you'll instantly pop his shield and nullify that value. But, I mean, he is so hard to deal with, man. At a certain point, you can, like, once you get to level 9, and Ahri becomes Ahri, you can walk up to the wave, Q it, and run away. And if he win walls, that's a win in your book, by the way. That is completely a win in your book. He will win wall, you will run away, he will push the wave, then you will catch the wave, and then you'll probably have a little bit of a window where you can do something. Potentially look for a charm against him. A tip that I want to give you as well is Yasuo dash has a fixed distance. So that means once you see him dash into a minion, you always know where he's going to end up. So you can, like, if you're fast, you can throw spells there if he doesn't have win wall. But you always know where he's going to end up. My problem with him and Lux are they always trying to kill me, so it's hard to farm against them. The problem with them is they're always trying to kill me. I mean, they kill you in very different ways. Yasuo gets on top of you and murders you. Yasuo or Lux pokes you out with E for the most part. And you need to have been chunked out for her to be able to kill you with a Q. But Lux is weird as well. Lux, the biggest piece of advice is don't stand in the wave. Stand on the opposite side of the wave as her. So I'm going to draw on my screen here. You'll just have to envision it, okay? So if the wave is here, and Lux is here, and Lux is here, you have to stand here, and you have to stand outside of the minions. Because then she can't Q you, and then if she E's you, well then she's not Eing the wave, so you can push the wave. And if she's Eing the wave, well that means she's not Eing you, so you can walk up. And you can try to trade with her, or you can push the wave. And then also use your W to let me know if that made any sense. If not, then I'll go into game and show it a little bit better. I can show that with practice dummies as well. But if it made sense, then I'm not going to do that. And also try to use your W to dodge your E. Forward dodging against Lux is super helpful. Usually Lux will expect you to run backwards into, because most people dodge backwards. So you can, for the most part, get away with forward dodging against Lux. So as soon as you see her do the little whoosh with her hands to throw out her E, you can W and run forwards. And usually that'll end up working out. The problem is if we take this instance and Lux is playing here and you're playing here, she has a direct line to you with Q, right? And then she can kill you. Like, then she can really chunk you out. But if you're playing over here, she can't Q you because minions are blocking. And then if you play in the wave, you're giving her double value. But what usually ends up in Lux Ahri is Lux will just push waves, and she pushes faster than you because she has more range than you, and then you have to like use tricks where you try to push out a wave, for example. You push a wave out and then you go to a side, because you can't ever get on top of her and really deal damage to her because she just outranges you, right? And she has Q. Then you have to go into one of the side brushes here and either look for a roam or try to bait her to come face check you. And then, if you can land one trade on Lux, and this is the case for most control mages, if you can land one full rotation on them, and you have your ult, the next rotation kills. Like, Ahri can kill most mages from 60% with a full rotation. The problem is just getting that first 40% is very, very tough. Could you do a showcase of all the rune pages you have for Ahri? I think I've shown them for the most part, but I will. This is the primary one that I'm running at the moment. I really like this. These runes are non-negotiable at the moment. I might try to do some investigating and see if there's ever a point where you want to take adaptive force instead of attack speed, because maybe that gives you a breakpoint at level 7 where if you have Lost Chapter plus Dark Seal, you have enough ability power to one-shot caster minions. But I think it's still just better to take attack speed, because it lets you auto-attack minions so much more, which lets you push a lot more easily as well. And for the most part, just wait till level 9. It gives you a breakpoint for 2 levels, and it's so conditional to get that breakpoint. So this is usually my rune page setup. I really like Electrocute because of the extra burst damage it gives you. It lets your roaming ability be incredibly, incredibly strong, and it just means you have a lot more skirmishing potential. So this is the primary one that I run. Against volatile matchups, so champions like Fizz, champions like Zed, Kiana, Talon, I like running this. Just because you can usually poke them out in lane, and Scorch just lets you get them to low health faster. So any matchup where they can beat you in the all-in, but you can poke them, I like running Scorch, because it just gets them to low health faster, so they can't all-in you, you know? Especially this is true in volatile matchups. Zed is a great example of when Scorch is awesome, but you still get the scaling from Mana Flow Band. This Bone Plating, I personally really, really like against tougher matchups. So Syndra, LeBlanc, champions that go for big trades against you and that you can struggle in lane against a lot. Your secondary runes are usually just going to be a bridge to the to level 9. So you can safely get to level 9 and then just start being Ahri and pushing waves. So I like running this against Syndra, Orianna, LeBlanc, these sorts of champions. I've seen some people run this. I don't like this that much, but it's the same idea. Except it's a balancing point between this rune page setup and this rune page setup. This is skewed very heavily for lane. This is skewed a little bit more for mid game. And then you can run this setup as well. For the most part, I like running this setup if I am playing Blackfire Torch and playing for DPS. You can also play it against mid-range champions like Talia, like Azir, like Ryze, champions where you're going to be spamming Q and you can't get in range to auto WQ, and you can never proc Electrocute. Yeah. There was a time where you were running... Oh, Jesus Christ. Where did my runes go? Where you were running this setup. But that's not so much a thing anymore, sadly. This setup was a lot of fun to play. I really enjoyed this setup. There was a time where you ran this as well. That was not so long ago with the tank build on Ahri. That was a lot of fun as well. But yeah. Can I delete this? Thank the heavens. Okay. On the mindset side of things, I used to be calm, but lately I've been tilting and raging a lot. I know my expectations are too high when it comes to my teammates, but still, how do I relax and stop raging? That's actually a very, very relevant question. I've been asked this a lot. I've seen this happen a lot as well. I think the way I view this is, at the end of the day, League is a game, right? And it's okay to be frustrated at your teammates if they're griefing. I think that's fine. And I mean, if you get griefed repeatedly, right, it gets very, very triggering and it gets very annoying because you're wasting your time. But viewing griefing teammates and getting tilted as an opportunity to try to practice emotional control, I think is very helpful. Because that is an awesome skill to have in life, right? And I think you don't get an opportunity to really practice it that much during everyday life. So getting a chance to practice that during a game, I think is super, super helpful. It's the same as when you're really, like, when you're doing work and you don't want to do any more work, right? And you're bored and you want to go do something else. That's the only opportunity you really get during everyday life to practice focusing for even longer and getting better at that skill. But viewing everything as a skill that you can acquire, I think is super, super helpful for this. At least in my opinion. It helped me quite a lot when thinking about these things. It is something to improve on. And you get a chance to do it. And then also just realizing that, well, your teammates are going to grief you no matter what. Like, that's just like luck of the draw, right? Like, it's going to happen in a percentage of your solo queue games, so get used to dealing with it. Like, that is the cost of doing business. Like, that is the cost of queuing up, is you're going to get fucking griefers. And there's nothing you can do about it. So, you just have to be like, okay, guess I'll be fucking wasting my time now. Awesome. That's all you can say. And I think the logical way of approaching it, it depends how like logically inclined you are, I suppose. But once you play this game enough, you realize that staying consistent and staying focused is what gives you the highest chance of winning. And I mean, if you care about winning, then that is what you should try to strive towards, right? So now you get a chance to practice striving towards that. And then when that is a skill you get unlocked, you'll start winning a lot more. But yeah, I mean, bad teammates can distract us at all times. You just have to kind of reel yourself in and be like, hey, how the fuck can I win now? Like, I know my teammates are griefing, but how can I win now? Right? Like, I need to focus. I need to try to carry. Yeah. It's a tough one, though. It's a skill to improve on, for sure. And it's a very important skill. Like, not autopiloting and not tilting. Like, it's one of those skills that makes everything else you know and everything else you do in the game just better. You know? Because it's like, oh, well, now I can think clearly at more points in the game. So now all the other skills that I have get a bump because I'm focusing more. You know? Super, super important. Ah, Eden, it's you. Can I do a video on how to play from behind? Well, I've already done this. I just did this. So I'm one step ahead of you. I think I have another one. I'm actually, you can... Are people supposed to have expectation at all for their teammates at low elo? Oh, that is actually a tough question. Because I find that I have expectations for what my teammates are supposed to do. But I am just okay being like, okay, they don't know what to do, you know? Like, if they don't do it, I'm like, okay, yeah, I mean, I kind of expected that. I didn't think you would actually do the correct thing or the thing I wanted you to do. But are you supposed to have expectations? I mean, the easy answer is no. Because then you can never, like, you know, then you can't get tilted. But I feel like if... Okay, this is the way I'll say it. Don't commit to a play expecting that your teammates will do the correct thing. You know? So, if you have, like, if you're playing Ahri, and for some reason you have a Galio on your team, and the primary way you're going to be engaging is you're Ahri ulting in, and, I mean, of course this is not going to happen, but it's hyperbole, right? and you need your Galio to follow up to like win a fight for some reason, don't expect that he will. Do not commit to flying in on your own expecting that Galio will follow up to save you. Expect that he does not know what to do. Like, you can have expectations for like, hey, if I land a charm, you should hook him, and then think about that, right? But you're not going to commit to a play with the expectation that your teammate is going to be doing the correct follow-up to make that play work. That is a mistake on your part. I only started playing 4 months ago and I'm unranked, but I got flamed because my jungler decided to try killing the other jungler at the beginning and I didn't exactly help because I was going to lose away for it when there's not much I can do anyways, but he ended up flaming me for it. Yeah, I mean, you'll get flamed. Brother, you've watched the videos I've uploaded. I get flamed. I'm Challenger playing in like iron, bronze, silver, gold, and I get flamed by my teammates. Like, it doesn't matter who you are or what skill level you're at, you're gonna get flamed. That's how that works. Right? Like, people are just mad. They want to be mad at someone, and they sure as fuck don't want to be mad at themselves. The best part is you might have made a mistake. Like, maybe there's a world where you can move and help out, but like, you shouldn't. Wait, let me think. How am I gonna try to explain this? Like, you could have made a mistake, but the way you're approaching things is gonna have more success in a majority of instances, which is what matters for solo queue. Does that make sense? So maybe you could move, and in like 5% of games, you help your jungler out, you kill the enemy jungler. Oh, it's a good time. We're all smiling, happy days. But in 95% of games, you just drop a wave mid lane, and you're cooked mid lane now because you're behind in XP and gold. So it's just like, okay, well, in 95% of games, not moving is better. Well, then I'm just not going to move. And the reality of the situation is low elo players don't like that. They don't like when you don't move. Despite the fact, like, you've seen games where the enemy mid laner runs bot lane, I'm sitting mid lane taking 3 waves, 3 plates, and the enemy mid laner kills 2 people bot lane or 1 person, and then my team is mad at me. Like, do we understand that he just gave me 3 kills worth of gold and got 1? Can we do math? That's a massive win for us. He's never going to be able to play mid lane again. I'm going to keep him under tower, and then next time I'll be the one roaming. You know? It's crazy. It's crazy. I think understand that your teammates just want to flame you and be like, okay. I mean, you can look at it objectively. Like, if you're actually curious, like, and this is probably the correct thing to do, after the game, you go back, like, if you want to get better at this, and you want to understand if your teammates are like, if you're confused as to whether or not you're making the right decision, you go back after and you look at it. Because when you have more time to look at it and analyze it, for the most part, you'll come to a pretty accurate conclusion. The hard part is just doing it in the game, right? Because there's so many variables you need to juggle. Like, oh, I need to space against the enemy champion. I need to get minions. I need to look over here. I need to, like, so many things to juggle. So once you can go back and look at it with, like, broad vision and have more time, you'll usually get to a good decision. Then you can go back. Well, I mean, then go back, look at it. Like, and be objective about it. Like, if you're wrong, that's okay. Like, you being wrong is completely fine. Because that means you get to, like, kind of fine-tune that little calculator in your head. And be like, okay, if this is the matchup, and this is what he did, and this is how it plays out, and this is how the fight is moving, then I can move, right? But, I mean, if he's just being stupid, then be like, no, you're just wrong. Which is, like, that's also fine to say. But if you're actually curious, then you go back and you look at it. That's also why I have a clips channel here, if you're curious. Maybe I should rename it. But that you can post stuff in there and I will have a look at it and be like, oh, okay, well, maybe, like, I will give my input, which can also be wrong, by the way. But for the most part, will be pretty accurate. Yeah, just mute them if that makes you feel bad. You shouldn't let them affect your mood. Yeah, I agree. I agree for the most part. Chat at the lower end of the ladder is not very helpful. Unless you want to try to be a social gamer, you know, and you want to type to people, which is also fine. I've come to realize some people approach games like that. I love being an absolute min-maxer and sweaty in every game that I play. It's the problem. Let us move on. Unless there are any more questions to that point. But it doesn't look like it. Okay, do you have any guide to buy items? Okay. I'll give you the crash course. But there's a more detailed version coming at some point. I just need to actually get to writing it out, which I've been delaying for because I've had other stuff that I need to do. Okay. Item builds on Ahri. First of all, we know that against tankier team compositions, you run Blackfire Torch. If you're going to be playing fight slowly and you are more of a DPS champion in the game, Blackfire Torch is better. Anything else, you run Malignance against. So once we've sorted that out, now the question becomes, what do you build second item on Ahri? And Ahri is, of course, one of the most diverse champions in the game when it comes to what you can build second, or in mid lane, when it comes to what you can build second. So that's just a lovely question to answer. There are, at the moment, 2 or 3 or 4 main items Ahri can build second. So let's say you run Malignance. What will your second item be? You can go, the most standard, which will be good in like 90% of games, is you run Horizon Focus. The reason Horizon Focus is so good is it gives you a ton of AP and ability haste, which allows you to just get off a ton of rotations, and that is for the most part what Ahri plays for. She plays for spell rotations and combos, so she likes having a lot of cooldown reduction, and getting AP is nice because, I already have Ahri open I think, but because the more AP you can get, the more true damage you can get on your return queue. So you can kind of value AP a little bit higher than something like a magic penetration on Ahri because she has a tool of dealing true damage. So she doesn't need magic penetration as much as other champions do. So Horizon Focus is one. Now I have started biasing away from Horizon Focus because it is not a super high damaging item. It is probably the lowest damage option that you have that is realistic. Of course, if you have like a Liandry's or a Cosmic Drive, that is lower damage than Horizon Focus, but I wouldn't, generally speaking, just not recommend building those second at all. Like, unless you really know what you're doing. But if we're giving like the quick guide to it, Horizon Focus is pretty standard. The other one is Crypt Bloom. Crypt Bloom, I recently discovered, is incredibly cost efficient. Even without the passive. It is 130% cost efficient. That is without this big heal. Horizon Focus is 120% without the passive as well. But Crypt Bloom gives you magic penetration, and it also gives you ability haste, gives you a little bit lower AP than something like a Horizon Focus, meaning that you are trading ability power. Essentially, if you look at the stats, you are trading 40 ability power and 5 haste for 30% magic penetration. That's roughly it. Like, of course, you get passive on both of them, but let's say that doesn't really matter. So, you are getting haste, which feels awesome second item on Ahri, because, well, it means you can get off more rotations in fights, and usually you need multiple rotations in fights. Or, you get, you either get, like, you need a haste item second for the most part on Ahri, unless you're playing for one-shots, is what I'm trying to say. So that's why Horizon Focus and Crypt Bloom are nice. So, let us say you are playing a game that looks like I'll give you an example draft where Crypt Bloom would be awesome, for example. Let us say you are playing, let's just run this enemy team composition, and you have a Gwen top lane, you have a Maokai jungle maybe, where's Maokai? Maybe an Udyr jungle, and you have like a Leona support. Enemy team is incredibly likely to stack magic resist this game because you have a lot of AP damage on your team, and basically everyone except for the Yone here is going to build Merc Treads. Maybe not the MF either, but the main targets that you're going to be hitting, if they have magic resist or if the enemy team is just likely to build magic resist, I really like running Crypt Bloom second. And for the most part, when the enemy team is building magic resist quickly, is if you have a lot of magic damage on your team. So if you had something like a Lee Sin here and a Darius here, then the enemy team is a lot more unlikely or less likely to build magic resist because you have a lot of physical damage on your team, right? So building magic resist has less value for them because it blocks less damage. So in these instances, Crypt Bloom is worth less because the magic penetration that you're trading for the ability power is not going to come into effect because it's percentage magic penetration. An item that I have really enjoyed lately is Lichbane. Lichbane gives you quite a lot of damage for upfront damage and DPS. It gives you more DPS in fights than Horizon Focus. It does not give you as much ability haste, meaning you're not going to get off as many rotations in fights. So you're getting off less charms, meaning that you might have a little bit less damage, but it gives you a shocking amount of one-shot potential with the Lichbane proc. It gives you very high amount of AP as well. And the main thing is it lets you kill side lane towers incredibly quickly. So especially at the lower end of the ladder where people can kind of forget that you exist in a game when you're pressuring a side lane because everyone loves grouping up, well then Lichbane lets you just one-shot towers. And that kind of lets you snowball very heavily in terms of you'll get a lot of gold for killing tier 2s and then you can accelerate on with that. So I've really been liking this item if I don't need Crypt Bloom second. I've really been liking Lichbane. Another obvious item is Shadowflame. This is the other item that you can run second, or the fourth item you can run second. This is the highest upfront damage item that you can get in the game. So if you are playing for one-shots, say that you have a Viego in the jungle, who, like, if you get a reset on Viego, he wins the fight for you instantly, right? Or if you have a Jinx AD carry, then Shadowflame can be very good. Especially if you don't have a lot of magic damage on your team, because Shadowflame gives you flat magic penetration. So a build you would run with Shadowflame is Magic Pen Boots. If you're going Shadowflame, you're always going Magic Pen Boots because you are going for a very high magic penetration and one-shot oriented build, which means Magic Pen Boots is going to give you more upfront damage than CDR Boots, and then you would run Shadowflame here. So this is the highest upfront damage and one-shot build that you can get, but understand that it makes your overall damage in fights lower. But if all you need to do is kill one target, or if the enemy team composition is just filled with targets, say that they have a Graves here, they have a Syndra here, they have a Jace here, and then they have a Senna here. It's like, okay, well, this is 5 ranged champions, and they can all get one shot. So Shadowflame is probably good because it lets you one shot any champion on the enemy team this game. Like, it gives you the most upfront damage. So having the most upfront damage to kill any of these targets, well, that's awesome, right? And you don't have a lot of magic damage on your team, so the enemy team is unlikely to stack magic resist, which just gives even more value to Shadowflame and Magic Pen Boots. A less game-specific question. What made you main Ahri? This is actually a very funny question. A very funny question. I think maybe I'll be able to find the specific moment if I go on op.gg. Well, the specific season. But Ahri was super overpowered. This was right when Ahri got... I don't know if it was reworked or what it was, but Ahri had just got super OP, right? She was played basically every single game in solo queue. I think it was season 10 or 11? Maybe it was this season? No, it was not this season. I was playing a lot of Veigar that season. It was this season. Season 12. The mini passive and W rework. Yeah, I mean, let's see if that's it. It would have been season 12. Yes. This season, right? This change was made to Ahri. Like her mini rework. And she was played every single game in solo queue. And I was smiling because I was like, okay, well, Veigar is an awesome counter pick to Ahri. And then one day, I ran into one of my Danish friends who was a pro player at the time. I still think he might be. And I was like, oh, he's picking Ahri blind? Awesome, I'll play Veigar. And lane went fine. And I was like, oh, nice, I've overcome the laning phase as Veigar. I must be 1v9ing this game now, right? And then he just was 10 times more useful than me in the game. And I was like, this is bullshit. I won my lane as a champion that's not supposed to win lane in a matchup that's tough, and I'm countering the enemy champion and their style. That can't be fair. I should have won that game. And then I was like, okay, I'll just go play a game of Ahri. Like, I'll just play one game of Ahri because she seems super broken. And I ran into this guy, Certus, who was a pro player for SK at the time, if I'm not mistaken, and rank 2 on the ladder. And he was playing Sylas mid lane. And I solo killed him level 2 as Ahri. And I was like, huh, that seems OP. And then, ever since that, I started playing a ton of Ahri and started really liking her style. Because I've always been a mage player. You can see from my champion pool. I've always been kind of a control mage player. And Ahri has the control mage style of laning, where you squeeze advantages in lane by playing from range and playing for poke and playing for quick trades, combined with the tools to make plays happen in the game, which is what I've always found lacking with my champion pool. I've never had champions that can like make plays. I've had champions that win lane or farm in lane and then carry team fights, but never that could make proactive plays. So I just fell in love with Ahri ever since then. And I think, she's probably been my most played for. I didn't play a lot this season. This was when I went to America, that's why. But yeah, she's been my most played for the most part since then. Or for almost every single season since then. But I've only been playing her for like 4 years. Not that long, to be honest. But, I've played a ton of games on her. I think we can go to my League of Graphs as well and find that, the American one. I've completely lost one of my American Challenger accounts because I don't remember the name. Oh, actually, I have the login for it. Oh no, didn't give it to someone. That didn't happen. At least, smiley face. If Riot is listening, because that would be illegal. Can I see my season? Okay, I just straight up can't. Well, that's just awesome. Why can I not see previous seasons on this account? I guess we're going back to OPGG. She's very versatile now because the movement speed on W, I think. Yeah, the movement speed on W and the fact that you get resets on your ult and the healing on your passive, that is awesome. Like, it allows you to just get through lanes that could previously poke you out very heavily. Yeah, this was when I went to America. This season. Yes. Yeah, she's been my most played for every season since then. I think I got Challenger on this account again. No, I didn't. I only got Challenger on this account once and then another account. But yeah, she's been my favorite ever since then. I don't have to queue 9 times anymore. Yeah, exactly. I didn't play that style of Ahri. I didn't play that variation of Ahri. I don't know how good I have it, man. I don't know how good I have it. I've only played Ahri since the rework. I don't think I had a single Ahri game before she got reworked. Like, I never had an Ahri game. It's so funny to think if I did not run into a pro player on Sylas that one game, or if I did not queue up and hit my friend who was spamming Ahri to practice it for pro games, I probably wouldn't have become an Ahri main. Like, if I lost lane that one game I picked her up, I just wouldn't have played her anymore. I would have been like, okay, champion sucks, too hard. But the fact that I solo killed someone level 2 while I was first timing a champion that I'd never played before, I was like, okay, maybe this champion is OP. And then I realized how much fun she is and how much she suits my style of play. I love Ahri. She's an awesome champion. Love that champion. Tips on fighting matchups like Malz Mel. I pick first, then the enemy laner picks one of those two, and the early game feels like a massive uphill battle. Early game against the Malzahar should not feel that tough. You can push him in quite easily. Make sure... It's actually a bit tough. Because if you Q, he can summon his little voidlings and he can match your push. And if you don't Q, he pushes faster than you if he never uses voidlings because of his E, right? But Malzahar is kind of unbeatable in the isolated 1v1 unless you can manage to land Q poke on him from range, take his shield down, and then kind of poke him out and whittle him down. But your objective against the Malzahar should just be to push him out or push him in and then roam. What you can do against Malzahar as well is if you push him out, let's say this is the lane, he's sitting under tower here, you will push him in and then you can move to one of these sides, and if you don't find a roam, just trap. What a lot of Malzahar players will do is they'll be like, oh, I need to follow the Ahri roam, and this goes for any matchup, by the way, and then you can catch them over the wall or like catch them face checking, you can chunk them out, and then you can actually kill them because you have enough damage to full rotation them. But yeah, maybe I'll try to find another Malzahar as Ahri, because I haven't done that matchup while doing this style of not stomping the enemy laner. So maybe I'll find some more tricks. But generally speaking, you can trade quicker than him with auto attack WQ, and those trades will for the most part be winning. You can push faster than him after level 7. And then you can die in fights very easily if you ult in and he ults you, right? So be careful in fights. You need to not be the first point of contact with Malzahar because you will just die. So you need to look for flanks and you need to look for following up with your teammates if you are going front to back, which you generally speaking shouldn't do on Ahri. But yeah, don't be the first point of contact with a Malzahar in a fight during the late game stages, because then it doesn't matter how much you stomped him during the lane. He's going to press R on you and you're going to die. Now, the more interesting one is Mel. And Mel, I think you should approach very similarly to Yasuo. First of all, Mel is going to stomp you early. It is impossible to dodge her Q, so you're going to get poked out. No matter what you think you're doing, you're going to get poked out. You can't charm her because of her W. So the way to approach it is you spam your auto attack WQ combo on her, and if she ever wastes her W, like after level 6, if she ever wastes her W, you ult on her. Because you can kill her from 70% health. That champion is incredibly squishy without her W. And her W has a long cooldown. Like we're talking 30 seconds on that W cooldown. So you can get her W, push a wave, come back, meet her again, and if she steps up, she's not going to have W up again. And then you can kill her, right? Like 35 seconds at rank 1. It's a long cooldown. So you have a lot of time to work with. But understand you will lose the upfront trade. Like you just straight up, you can't, like, she's going to nullify either your charm, in which case, well, you're getting charmed back because for some reason, Mel W has fucking heat-seeking missiles when it rebuttals something, when it sends something back, and it's just impossible to dodge. Or she's going to bounce back your Q, in which case, well, you've just lost your most or highest damage spell that you have, so good luck winning a trade. But you need to get out her W by using your Q, and then accepting that while that W is on cooldown, you need to try to trade with her, or you need to shove out the wave and look for roams or look for bases. Very similar approach to Yasuo, except she is easier to deal with because she cannot just randomly spawn on top of you. She will just be a bit more annoying to deal with because she's going to spam Q on you. But also stand outside of the wave because you don't want her to Q you and the wave. You don't want her to get double value. You want her to pick either poke you or push. And then if she pokes you, well, then you can try to hit back, or you can push the wave. And if she tries to push, well, then you can try to slap her. But yeah, those are my main bits of advice against her. Like, understand that you will lose the upfront trade, and you still need to go for it. Because if you never trade with the Mel, what's going to happen is she's going to spam Q on you, and you're just going to get poked out. And then eventually you'll die. So you need to be very, very, like, cognizant of the fact that I need to step up here, take a trade, Q her, she's going to W that, I'll lose that trade. That's fine. My spells are going to come back very quickly, and I can walk up again and then trade. Otherwise, you'll run into the classic low elo bot lane scenario where like the classic low elo bot lane scenario where you see them play against like Ezreal Vel'Koz and they'll just never fight and bleed under tower and then die. You know, it happens so frequently. So yeah, you need to understand that you'll lose the upfront trade and then abuse the fact that she's going to be on cooldown. That's how to manage that matchup. You cannot just play for push. You have to try to trade with her. Because what all Mels do, like every single Mel is going to walk up. Like you're going to want to push the wave and you're going to be like, yeah, let me just step up to this wave and push it. And all of them will just walk up to you and be like, hey, bud, what you doing? And then you need to like cue them to waste their W and then look for a trade on the back end of that. And if they just sit back and let you push, then obviously do that. But like I have not seen a Mel do that at any level of play yet. So I wouldn't expect it to start happening anytime soon, to be honest. Next question. So question, best Ahri player I've ever seen. That is not true, but I do hope that I can be the most kind of informative Ahri player at least. But I mean, there are just so many better Ahri players like on the ladder at the moment. I am also very rusty at the moment, but I have the autistic way of explaining things, so hopefully that will make it better. But I mean, obviously Knight is considerably better. Like any pro player you can think of is probably better, or any pro player at a higher level is probably better. Especially if they're Ahri specialists. Watch gameplays, 10 gameplays stream instead of 1 each video. What I have been working on is like a long form video that has 1 game at each elo all the way up to challenger, and then just release that. So I will probably be doing that. The problem is, I mean, I need to play a game in iron, bronze, silver, gold, platinum, emerald, diamond, master, grandmaster, challenge. Like I need to play 10 games, right? Like that's a lot. Although I'll probably lot master and grandmaster and challenger all into one, but that's still 7 games, which I mean is a lot. But thank you, I appreciate that. Very, very kind words. Do you ever think that the Rod Leandri Riftmaker build, do you ever play AP Cog? I like playing him sometimes. I think he's fun to play. Mostly because people don't know how to deal with him. And you can just press EQ or E-Alt on the wave and you just get to blow it up, which is fun. And he scales absurdly well. Like, the fact that your alt range scales with ranks, like, once you hit level 16 on Kog'Maw, it's kind of like Kassadin. It's so insane. I know that, I actually wonder if he still plays. I know that, I think it was season 7 or 8. There was a guy on EU West called AP Wormmore Mid. I wonder if he's still here. And he just only played Kog'Maw Mid. He was in around, I think, Master, Grandmaster, MMR. I don't see him. Is he gone? Is AP Wormmore Mid gone? Oh, fuck. Is he still here? AP Wormmore Mid. Is he still here? Oh my god, I think he might be gone 7 years ago. That's how you know. Oh my god, the Vietnamese Kog'Maw builds. They must be good. Smiley face. I think he's fun. I don't play him though, no. Not at all. I think he's just a worse version of the champions that I already play. Like, he scales better, but he does less in lane and he has less proactive tools. But he scales better. I think he can work. I mean, I think he's just he's a Ziggs that does less upfront damage, takes towers slower, is worse in lane, has less mobility, less utility with his slow field, and less burst. But at level 16, he can spam a lot of ults, so that's kind of fun, I guess. But people like the only reason Kog'Maw mid is somewhat good is people just don't know what the champion does. And they don't know his cooldowns. So they don't know his patterns that well. So that's why he can work. If I recall, he was used as a counter to his Zir a few years ago in pro play. I think Caps might have played him, if I'm not mistaken. We'll have a look here. I might be very wrong on this, but I think he was used as a counter. When was this match list? Surely this will give it to me. Yeah. Oh, he's still used as a counter to Azir. Even now, Power of Evil is playing him, losing a lot of games, so I don't know if it can be that good. Yeah, there's still people playing him, mostly against Azir. But no, I do not play him. Played against Ahri, that can't be good. I feel like Ahri just kind of point and clicks him. Oh yeah, the Mirror Mana Ludens. Oh, those were good days, huh, fellas? You remember those? Wait, we played it? Oh no, this was LFL. This was before I got to coach Roizen. I was gonna be like, there's no way I would have let him play Kog'Maw mid. Actually, I would have, if I thought it was good, but I didn't think it was good, so I didn't let him play it. Well, he never brought it up either, to be fair. If he did, I probably would have thought a little bit more about it. What was the last one? Do you think that the Rod Leandri's Riftmaker build is still occasionally viable, and in which cases would that be? I think Rod of Ages has kind of been nerfed a little bit too hard for it to be good. You get no cooldown reduction at all with this build, which is kind of the main problem, and your W was recently nerfed, meaning you have less DPS. I think you can... Oh wait, I completely forgot to like go more in detail with builds, by the way. I'm very sorry about that. This guy was asking about like, what do you build against assassins? What third item would generally be good? Deathcap for the most part is good. Third, unless you have big threats on the enemy team that can get on top of you and lock you down and kill you very easily. For example, like a Vi or a Zed. A Zed can't lock you down very easily, but if they have high burst or can lock you down, then Hourglass third is good. But generally speaking, Deathcap third is just fine, and then defensive item fourth. The Rod of Ages build can be done, again, if the enemy team has a lot of threats and lockdown for you. So if you're playing against, I don't know, an Ahri jungle, or Ahri jungle, a Vi jungle, and a LeBlanc mid lane. You can die very easily against that comp, right? And Rod of Ages with Catalyst in lane can kind of make it easier to navigate those situations. Catalyst is a lot stronger for lane than Lost Chapter is as well, because of the health it gives you and the Eternity passive that it has. Lets you sustain better in lane. So against champions that can easily heavily trade with you, you can kind of out-sustain them and actually beat them in lane. LeBlanc is again the champ that immediately comes to mind. Yeah, I think for the most part, don't play this build. If you're gonna play a part of this build, then go Rod of Ages, and then... What would I go second if I go Rod of Ages? You need cooldown reduction, like some form of it. Maybe Cosmic Drive can work. The problem is just you have so little damage when you play this build. Like, you just deal no damage. And do I want to deal no damage in solo queue, especially at the lower end of the ladder? Probably not. But if you are against a very, very high threat team composition, you can build Rod of Ages. So like I said, a LeBlanc with a Vi jungle where you're just going to die 20 times. Like, if you know yourself that you're not great at dealing with LeBlanc, or you are likely to get caught or something like that, you can play this build and it just makes you tanky enough to survive those instances. But for the most part, I mean, the easy answer for me is say, okay, well, I mean, then just... it's gonna be very demeaning, right? But learn to play better, you know? I was wondering what you think about other Rs like Sophie and Legit Korea. I think I did a review on Legit Korea kind of a while back. I think Legit Korea, he was actually the guy that taught me about the double points in Q trick against range champions, where that breakpoint happened. I had never done that before I watched his video, or one of his videos. So he taught me that. I think he knows a lot of like details on Ahri. He has years of Ahri gameplay on me, right? Like he has a lot more Ahri gameplay than I do. The thing is, I'm just better at League than he is. Like, just I have a higher baseline because of and a deeper understanding of the game as a whole than he does. Because I've been a pro player, and because I've coached professionally, and because I play multiple champions. But he is way better at specific Ahri things. Like, Ahri specific matchups, he'll know things that I just don't because I haven't played the matchup enough. Right? Like, he will just know that. But I know how to navigate mid-game considerably better, and I know what enemy champions want to do mid-game better than he does, and I know angles that I can come from better than he will. Yes. I think that is the easiest way to put it. Yes. He's better on Ahri, but I'm better at the game. Yes. Yeah, I think so. So the question is, well, who's better on Ahri then? Well, I mean, I think knowing a lot of tricks on Ahri, I don't know how useful that is because what made me play Ahri, I have answered it already, but yeah. The long and short of it is right after she was reworked, she was permaplayed in solo queue, and I got pissed because I played Veigar against Ahri, against one of my friends. And I beat him in lane, and then he beat me in the game, and I was like, this champion must be OP, played it, ran into a pro player, solo killed him level 2, and was like, okay, this champion is OP. And then started playing it a lot more, and then I was like, oh, this champion has the playstyle of, oh, you're a control mage, but you can also go for proactive plays. I love that style. So then I started maining her. Sophie, I don't know, by the way. I've never seen Sophie. I've never played a game with her. It's the Ahri support, right? If I'm not mistaken, Sophie? Or am I thinking of someone else? It's the Ahri support player on NA, isn't it? Or is it someone else? Do I miss pro play? I will say one of the most addicting things is being on stage. That shit is fun as fuck. That shit is really, really fun. Like, being on stage is a ton of fun. So I kind of miss that aspect. But do I miss getting paid 3 years late and losing money coaching a team while I'm supposed to be getting paid a salary? No, not really. Don't miss that at all. I did get paid half of my salary, half of what I was owed though. But it took 3 or 2 years, I think. Do I enjoy having to, or being told, hey man, we're gonna cover your hotels, your flights, everything, and then them just not doing that at all? Not particularly. Really good. She plays mid and top. Who is this? Who's Sophie? I've never heard of her. Is she good? I mean, I might look at... Jesus fucking Christ. I have no idea. I've never seen her play. I actually don't know. Maybe she's good. I don't know. Let's have a look. You'll mute because I hate watching stuff with the audio on. I don't like that way of doing it, but sure. Is this the right person? Am I looking at the wrong person? Okay. She's just standing still a lot, so I'm very confused. Like, the way she's moving feels very off. Like, charming into a set that's casting W. Like, if you wanted to charm, you should charm earlier off the back of the knock-up so he doesn't have a chance to W. But even then, I probably wouldn't charm here because I think he's just dead after the W, so you can just hold the charm and just wait. But she charms really poorly. Then ult. This is where I got confused because she's just standing still. Like, this is why I was like, wait, is this the right person? Because she just stands still here and doesn't auto-attack. But it might be because she's slowed by Xin Zhao W, so I was like, what is she doing? But no, I think it's correct. I think I just didn't see that she got slowed. So I was like, what the fuck? She's just standing still? Is this right? That was a nice combo. Ult away. I probably wouldn't Q Blitzcrank, but I think it's reasonable. I think she needed to deal damage to kill him. Charming Blitzcrank. I mean, she's going for the target. That's okay. Yeah, I think that's a good play. Q, I think, is actually also necessary. I don't think she would have had damage otherwise. Yeah, pretty good. I like it. I think I just missaw it because she was slowed. I think she's good. I just don't like the way she... I think she just mistimed her charm, which, I mean, can happen, right? She was trying to min-max it and just didn't. But yeah, I mean, she looks pretty good to me. Let's have a look at this. Okay, I mean, she's a good player. Like, she knows what she's doing. If she can explain stuff in a way that makes sense to you, then watch her. She told me she considers herself like right after legit Korea. No, I think she's good. I mean, I haven't seen enough, right? But no, she's good at the game. Like, recognizing that Orianna is dead here, because Orianna Q is on cooldown, and that Orianna is too far up and you can barely reach her. I mean, she's clearly a good player. And then the way she angles her or uses her ult to angle her charm as well, you'll see here. Q, Orianna dodges down, she ults down here to reposition herself, and then she lines up her charm like this, which makes it harder for the Orianna to dodge, and it also bounces her Q back to her. And she just barely gets around this minion. Which, I mean, it dies to the Q, so I don't think it would have mattered, but she got around it anyway. Like, she tried doing that. That was really nice. Yeah, she's a good player. Told me she considers herself, like, right after legit Korea. I think it's hard to evaluate skills of individual Ahri players. And if you want to talk about who's the actual best in the world, well, then I think we all kind of fall short to our good friend Knight, who is just clearly the best Ahri in the world, and it's not even fucking close. Can I look at his stats? Can I look at his Ahri? Like, for all? What is his win rate? It's like... No, that can't be right. Oh, because I'm not looking at all. Yeah, I mean, like... Okay. You mean to tell me he has an 80% win rate on his most played champion in the hardest league, arguably, playing in the hardest tournaments as well, because he's going deep in all these tournaments? Yeah, I think he might be the best player in the world on this champion. Which is fair. But yeah, no, if you like the way she explains things, then go watch, then for sure. Like, she seems good enough. Like, that's the thing, for the most case, like, whether an Ahri is Master Tier, Grandmaster, Challenger, Pro, is not gonna matter for the majority of stuff. Like, for people below Diamond, it's not really gonna... Maybe Master Tier is not quite high enough, but it's not gonna matter about them. I was talking about NA, though. Oh, she's on NA? Oh, I had no idea. Legit Korea. I don't know. I played against Legit Korea a little bit. I think. I don't remember. I think I played 1 or 2 games against him. He's pretty good, though. Do you have a favorite esports player? Okay. Are you gonna... How long have you been watching the game? Are you gonna recognize the player that I'm gonna tell you? Let's hear. How long have you been watching? My favorite player of all time is this guy called Pawn. That is because he was the first guy to play Nidalee mid lane, and he blasted Faker on it, and I was a Nidalee mid laner at the time. So I was like, this guy is so cool. I think I might even have it. Pawn, Nidalee versus Faker. It will probably be up here. Yeah, look.
Everything right here. Let's take a look at what happened.
I watched this and I was like, dude, this guy is the fucking coolest player possible. I was watching this on my little Samsung Galaxy S2 in bed on my Wi-Fi when going to sleep and being like, oh my god, this was the coolest thing in the world.
Okay, so Faker tries to... Oh, he plays
You know?
too aggressively right here. He gets hit by a lot of that minion damage. And
I was like, oh my god. This guy is playing the champion I'm playing, and he's good. I really like Knight and Bwipo. If we're talking about active players, who's my favorite? I think Knight. It's because he plays Ahri, right? Knight, I really like. Yeah, I think Knight. Plays Ahri, and I like the way he plays. Actually, no, Showmaker. Showmaker. Do you remember when Showmaker Chovy were just coming up in Korea, and they were being labeled in with Faker as like the 3 best players in the world in Korea, or 3 best mid laners in the world in Korea, I was like, oh, let me pick Showmaker because he's like the odd one out of the bunch. He's like the creative player. He is creative in draft. He does weird things. I've always liked players that do that because I have often. I mean, you can look at this. Like, you can look at our. Probably go to Royce, and that's the easiest way to find it. But I've always liked players that are very creative in draft. I mean, if we go look at this, can I look at all? That would be awesome if I could actually. We've always been quite creative in draft. Like we play Seraphine, Zerath, Swain, Ziggs, Corky, Vlad. Like we've done some weird stuff, right? Like here, Veigar, Talia, Swain, Aurelion Sol, Zig. This was before anyone was playing Aurelion Sol. Ziggs, Varus? I don't remember that. I wasn't drafting that. But I always like players that have been creative in draft. I think it's super cool. They play new champions. Whippo I also like, but that's because he's just incredibly autistic and explains things in a nice way. His coaching video is awesome. Tabs' Fizz. Oh my god, dude. I remember Tabs swapped to jungle, didn't he? To bot lane. Who am I thinking of that swapped to jungle? There's a guy that swapped to jungle that I remember really, really enjoying playing with in solo queue. Yeah, Tabs was bot. If you're offered good condition and that you're sure they would strike the contract, would you return to pro play? Probably not, no. Maybe as an assistant coach or positional coach. I think it takes up a lot of time that is just not fun, you know? You have to be there for all scrims. That's not that enjoyable. Like, if we're honest. Yeah, Tabs was bot. I don't know who I'm thinking of. Yeah, positional coach I have considered. I have considered reaching out to a lot of the NA. I was supposed to join an NA Academy team like 2 or 3 years ago. But it never really ended up being anything as a positional and draft coach. Like, the thing that I enjoy the most is just positional coaching and draft. Draft I enjoy a ton. But the actual gameplay part, I don't enjoy that much at a pro level. Because it's a lot of time to just build systems and be like, hey, when this happens, you do this. When this happens, you do this. Hey, let's set up and practice this. It's just a lot of time of you sitting taking notes, which some people enjoy a lot. I don't. So it goes. So it goes. M5. Oh my god, dude, I remember. We remember M5 versus TPA. Absolute banger. Was this when they were playing Nunu support? Was that this game? Oh my god, and it was as well. And Sona Ezreal. Oh my god. Those were the days, huh? Man, I miss this. Do you have an opinion about the super teams versus others team? I don't understand what you mean. M5 versus TSM was my first competitive match. Dude, the reason... It's so funny. The reason I got so into League and getting good at it was... I was watching Wicked play Malphite top lane in a game. And it came up that I was like, oh, dude, I'm gonna... Like, he was playing Heart of Gold or something. And I remember it was just having a conversation with a friend, and he was like... I was like, dude, I can get that good. And he was like, dude, you'll never get Diamond. And then Spite, you know? Like, the team that have, like, 5 players in the top 5 each role in their respective role, like 3 or 5. Oh, I mean, I think having... It just depends on the players, right? But you cannot have 5 greedy players. That will not work for the most part. But you can have 5 creative, super, super good players. Like, look at G2. Like, the old G2. There were 5 super, super strong players. Probably the top of their roles. And they were very creative. And they were willing to do what it took to win. instead of being super, super selfish. Stanley's Nidalee. Oh my god, dude. You're bringing back so many memories. I remember 2012 being in bed with my Packard Bell laptop on my lap and my Razer Abyssus mouse, queuing up games in bronze, typing in, me Nidalee top, I will split push. If you cannot play with split push, then dodge. Every single game. I wrote that every game. Rest assured, I fucking sucked. I was bronze. Oh man, those were good times. I've missed that. Dude, I was also just playing on a laptop in bed. Instead of just having it, I had a table. Like, the mouse stability would have been so much better. Maybe I can actually find it. I was on EUNE back in the day. Oh yeah, I can just switch the servers here. I was on EUNE. I'm sure I can find it. Sure. Yeah, maybe it'll be here. Like season 2? Oh no, I didn't get ranked till season 3. I was allegedly on a hacked account before that because I didn't want to play up to level 30 and just wanted to play ranked. Oh, you can't see the win rate. That sucks. Oh wow, guys, I must have been terrible in season 3. I won no games. Yeah, 0 games won. That's tough. That sucks, man. should focus on improving, I guess. Oh, season 4 here. This dude, Nidalee mid most play. I wanted to name my account the Nidalee because I was playing Nidalee and Lee Sin. Problem is, I mean, you can't name yourself after champions, but it was gonna be like this, like Nidalee. But yeah, I couldn't do that, sadly. Those were good times, man. Oh yeah, I used Kha'Zix mid as a counter pick to Nidalee because Nidalee was being played a lot more ever since she was played in pro play. So I played Kha'Zix mid. If you remember, W evolve first. Kha'Zix mid lane, where his W applied his passive. Oh my god, dude, the memories. Do I have a favorite roster of all time? I mean, it's tough not to say G2 Season 9, right? Because they took us on a fucking ride. Like, I thought they were winning. I thought they were going to win that. More so than Fnatic Season 8, yes. Fnatic Season 8 I didn't find as creative as I did G2 Season 9. But Fnatic Season 8 I also thought we were going to win, by the way. I was like, oh, awesome. We're in the finals against, or semifinals against IG. We beat IG in groups. It's going to be a free win. Like, we're so much better. 3-0. And we're cooked. And it's fucking over. Who was jungle again? Jankos. I'm talking about the Wonder variation. Like the Wonder, Jankos, Caps, Hansama. Those were finals? Oh yeah, I thought so. But for some reason, I don't know why I don't remember Fnatic going to finals. I've just blocked it out of my head. Faker is still chilling at the top. Yeah, I mean, Faker is unfortunately just the undisputed GOAT, despite the fact that I fucking hate the T1 fan base. But he is unfortunately just the best to ever do it. Even though he's not the best individual player, I think it's pretty undeniable that he is the most valuable player. Because he, I mean, do I have a favorite troll pick in pro play? Like that a pro player has whipped out, or that or something like that. Remember an interview said that's all they was catching up? Obviously 25. I think we've kind of like Faker is doing God's work for every old person. Alex H Yi mid. Dude, that pentakill with AP was awesome. AP Yi. Vayne mid. Vayne mid is a good one. I think my favorite picks or troll picks is like when the stars align and you can bring out a champion that doesn't fit the role at all, but because draft has gone a very specific way, is now actually the best pick. So I like Vayne. I think that was a good example. Like the Vayne against Galio. I think no other player in the world there goes Vayne. Like at most they'll go a different AD mid laner, even though Vayne is just that much better. Like they'll be conservative, but I mean Caps just slapped his nuts on the table and said we have to go Vayne. Evelyn mid. Oh my god. DFG Evelyn mid lane. Yeah, don't bring that up. Zillion mid with his Q that was point and click. Yeah, that was balanced, I think, personally. LeBlanc mid that silenced on Q proc? Oh yeah, that was awesome, dude. That was fucking sick. And then the Gunblade LeBlanc as well. That was actually one of my favorite champions. Gunblade LeBlanc. With the Q passive that jumped everywhere. Mordekaiser mid. Dude, can I find my Korean account? I don't think I can. Maybe it's on my Twitter. But I played Mordekaiser mid right when he was reworked in Korea, in Master Tier. And no one else was playing it. I went to a local PC Bang tournament there as well. Because I met a guy in solo queue. And went to stay at his parents' place. Because he was trying to learn English or something. And then he was like, yo, do you want to go to a tournament? And I was like, yeah, sure, man. We can go. And then we played against who was rank 1 challenger at the time, a guy called 1010, like this. Oh, well, not that. This guy. And I played, or he permabanned Mordekaiser against me, I remember. Because that was my most played mid lane at the time. We won the series against this guy, by the way, even though he was rank 1. It was very fun. He was playing a lot of Talon and such. That was a fun time. Dude, DFG was so broken. That shit was too OP, man. DFG in Italy. Or DFG, like, LeBlanc with silence was so obnoxious to me. I remember playing against it. Like, this was when Anivia Oriana or Anivia Karthus were, like, the 2 most played mid laners, right, in pro play. I remember playing against LeBlanc when I was, like, level 20 or, like, 15 or something and being like, wait, so why is that champion not just incredibly fucking overpowered and played at all points? Like, how can you trade back against it? Turns out next season people were spamming it and apparently she was overpowered. Just no one wanted to play her. What was your what was your reaction when you reached Challenger for the first time? I think relief, to be honest. Because I was talking to people, like, I went to a very small class in school, like at a private school. Because my primary school was all kinds of fucked up. Like, people were getting into drugs and drinking and everything at a very young age. So I went to a different school. And I was talking to people there. I was like, dude, I'm so close. Like, there were a couple of people that played the game. Or just played games in general there. You have to remember, like, people did not play as many games. But there were a few people that did. I remember talking to them every single day. Like, a bus would come pick us up and then go to school and then would take the bus back. Like, a school that... or a guy that was hired by our school to do. I remember every day I was like, dude, I'm so close, man. This is the time that I'm getting it. And then I got it and I was like, oh my god, finally. So many years, man. So many years. Back then we had shit ping as well too. Dude, my household, we had, like, I found the contracts between the ISP and my parents, right? And it was like we had 6, like at most we would have 9 megabits of upload or download and 0.2 upload or something crazy. And I would just get so many ping spikes to like 700 ping randomly during the games. And then it's like, the game is just unplayable. Because obviously someone was downloading something on the internet and I was just getting incredibly high ping. I would just lose games. I remember I had a tracker. Because our, like, fuses would blow if you had, like, the washing machine and, like, the dishwasher on at the same time. And my parents just, I guess they never fucking communicated or something. Because it would just randomly just go out, you know? And then I would lose a game because of that. Or, like, I'm queuing up a game. We have dinner. It's like, fuck, the game's lost. You know? I lost so many games to just bullshit. So I got super happy when I hit Challenger for the first time. That was awesome. I had 60 to 90 ping when I played in Diamond 4 Season 4. I'm playing China, and at 7 I literally couldn't play with low ping. I remember I went from being at home playing on like I think 60 ping, and then I flew to Korea and played on 10 ping, and Twisted Fate was in my champion pool, and I kept on picking my cards incorrectly because I was used to the delay. So I couldn't play Twisted Fate. I was like, I'm always picking the wrong fucking card, man. Because I'm used to having to wait a little bit longer. It was so fucked. What made you go into pro play? Dude, what rank were you when you considered it? Dude, I was not even level 30 and I was like, yeah, it's not realistic if I'm gonna join one of the top teams like TSM or CLG, but I'll join like a Curse, right? They're a little bit lower end, they'll probably take me. Before I was even ranked, I was thinking that. And then when I got ranked, I was like, dude, I need to get ranked so I can play like ranked teams was what it was called back then. I was like, dude, I need to get a ranked team. Turns out getting 5 silvers on a team it's not really the way to go pro, as it turns out. But I just wanted to play with a team back then. Hotshot GG and CLGs, yeah, CLG and A or CLG and CLG EU, yeah. Good times, man. With Froggen, Wicked, Snoopy, Yellow Pete, and Crepo. Yeah, Crepo. That guy went down all sorts of roads, I guess. CLG and A with like a big fat GG in the mid lane, Hotshot top lane, and then I don't remember the rest of their team. How much money have I spent on the game? Not a lot. No, not a lot, like at all. I didn't buy skins. Did not buy skins at all. I used to play Go for LOL and ARAM tournaments back when Riot hosted ARAM tournaments. They would give you RP, and then I would buy skins with that. Because I was just so fucking addicted to playing teams, you know? But I think like I spent maybe $20 when I was 14. Actually, complete lie. In Denmark, we have a system where if you're like the legal age you need to be to work is 15. But if you're 13, you can get in contact with like some people at your local government and they can give you a job where you make like $5 an hour. I think, or no, it's way less. Like $5 a day, maybe. I think like for 2 or 3 hours of work. I forget what it is specifically. But I went to work for 9 hours, came back, quit, and then bought RP with that. And I was like, dude, I only did this because I wanted to play Talon. Then I played like 2 games of Talon, the old Talon, if you remember, where his E, he blinks to you. And then I was like, hell yeah. Those were the good time. Yeah, Go for LOL had the big prize pools for the monthly tournaments. I don't think we played them that much, realistically speaking. I think I was on the... I played Go for LOLs when they were starting to fade out. Like the actual... Like I got good enough to play and got friends with enough people that were good as well to play the actual high-end Go for LOLs when they were fading out. But farming EU and E was the way to go. Because Go for LOL had tournaments for EU and E and the EU West. And the EU West is obviously way harder. So you would just farm EU and E. Besides old Kassadin, which champion do you think was the most broken? Well, I didn't play for Xin Zhao mid lane, sadly. So I don't know about that. I didn't really play that much. Like, I came in late when Master Yi was OP. That was when I was leveling my account. But Master Yi was already faded out by the time that I got ranked. I think, for the most part. I think... what was the most OP? I think Kassadin is the obvious answer. Maybe jungle item Ezreal mid lane. That shit was broken. That was stupid. How OP that was. What else is there? Mordekaiser, yeah, with the dragon ult as well. But I feel like people still left him open in pro play. And people still found ways of dealing with it, didn't they? Like, was he super high ban rate? I remember Ezreal was just like, oh, just permaban it. Like, just don't play against it. Champion is too broken. When you divide the hours of played, even 500 years would be cheap. Yeah, I think I haven't spent more than like if you're counting accounts that I have allegedly bought and skins and such, I think we're like 300, 400 maybe on League. But I mean, the entire point was it's a free game. Why would I spend money on it? And I don't really care about skins. I know a lot of my friends are like, dude, I can't play this champion without this skin. The animations are so fucked. I'm like, I don't care. Heart of Gold and gold items, yeah. They were good times, man. Philosopher's Stone as well. Cage's lucky pick. Back when supports couldn't buy a single item and all they could buy was 2 gold generating items and then just pure wards. Those were the days. Bring them back. I don't have to be fucking 1v1 by a bard anymore at level 9. That would be sweet. Because he's managed to pick up a fucking upgraded support item and tank, and all of a sudden he's just the highest damage champion in the game. 2 gold items with 2 wards. Do you remember Mordekaiser and Akali going 11 and 13 potions and a stealth ward with no starting item? Those were the days, man. Those were the days. Alright, fellas. Thank you so much for joining. I will be hopping off. And banners as well. Banner of Command as well with CZ Rod. Dude, actually, wait. Before I hop off. Funny note. My internet was so bad. You remember me saying that, right? So, whenever my internet got bad, I would build Banner of Command and ZZ Rod and just do that. Banner of Command was never built, right? But I was building that like so many games, and then turns out it was OP all along. It was like, oh, nice. I was ahead of the curve because my internet was so shit that I couldn't play properly, so I had to build those items. That's awesome. Like, I played Banner of Command ZZ Rod Kazakhs. Because I was like, okay, well, my ping is shit. My internet's bad. Let me build those items. Oh, man. Those were the days. Right, I'll hop off. Thank you so much for joining. I will be doing this next week as well, so you can ask some more questions. But yeah, thank you so much. This will be uploaded as well. So, see ya. Bye, 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 bye.